Welcome back, my outsiders, academics, and storytellers, to a very special episode of Homestuck 7 years later. Today, at long last, I get to reread the Homestuck Intermission. My relationship to the Intermission has always been very interesting, because when I was a kid reading Homestuck for the first time, the Intermission was actually the only part of it that I was able to understand just implicitly from the get-go. It was the most comprehensible part to me so far, and that's with obviously all of the different various time travel powers that are in play within it. So it's always been interesting to me why that settled so easily with me. Additionally, possibly more interestingly, I have not been able to understand it as well as I did back then since. In all my read-throughs since, it has remained kind of elusive. So, we'll see if I understand what's going on or not tonight, but either way, I know I'm gonna have a really good time. But yeah, I've always been intrigued by that, and why it was so easy to grasp then, and why I've struggled in the years since. Maybe we won't find any answer to that, but it is a fun little story I like to tell people, I guess. On this read-through, I am tackling this portion very, very late at night, and yeah, I'm really looking forward to this. So, let's get into it. Oh, also I used that flip over in my last intro without thinking about it, so now I can't use it for this one, so I'm kind of kicking myself for that. Love the art here, though, so much. Alright. Your name is Spade Slick. You are the leader of a notoriously vicious gang of mobsters called the Midnight Crew. A classic in our gang. A rival gang known as the Felt recently knocked over one of your favorite casinos. Your long quest of revenge has finally taken you through the front door of the mansion belonging to their loathsome boss, Lord English. A lot of big names. One big name. Two big names. Whatever. Your subordinates, Club's Deuce, Diamond's Droog, and Heart's Boxcars have been dispatched to various locations throughout the mansion to begin carrying out your mission. Your objective is to locate and crack English's secret vault and plunder its mysteries. That's the business end of it. The pleasure will be painting this ugly house red with the blood of those miserable green motherfuckers. Stupid gang and their lousy obsession with clocks. The sooner all those idiots stop being alive, the better. You wonder where they are. It's awfully quiet in the mansion, sans all the dreadful ticking. Captcha-log carriage clock. You obviously have no idea what that means. If it's some smart-ass way of saying to pick it up, forget it. You are already carrying an item. It is your trusty deck of cards. Build fort with clocks. You have an idea that is so much better. Clocks destroyed, 4 out of 1,000. Check for traps under the billiards rug. What is under the rug? What is under the rug is much worse than any trap you can imagine. It is a member of a species that you do not recognize with a ghastly furred upper lip. This comic truly is made for adults who once read it as children. You cover the unsightly individual back up and try to forget it ever existed. Play 52 pickup. You would need a deck of cards to play that infernal game. Fortunately, all you have is your war chest, which you deploy on the floor. Never leave home without it. We open the war chest, we shuffle the contents. You rummage around. It's no unusual assortment of belongings, and nothing any mobster worth his salt would be caught plotting and scheming without. Certainly nothing eyebrow-raising. Bunch of blades, some playing cards, and a variety of other miscellaneous stuff. Also your vendetta itinerary and your heist map. The vendetta itinerary I have to say, I do carry one of those with me at all times. Scavenge war chest for fancy headwear. If there are any elaborate headdresses in here, you'll eat your haberdasher. But of course there is only a plain and serviceable backup hat, which naturally conceals 2 licorice Scotty dogs. Which makes you think that maybe you are wearing your backup hat, and this is your usual one? Hell if you know, they are the same damn hat. Hide inside your war chest. You cannot hide properly inside the chest because you cannot close it while you are inside. Instead, you momentarily pretend it is a really cool automobile that commands the fear and respect of larcenous adversaries everywhere. Beep, beep, beep! All aboard the idiot wagon. Do I have... This is a weird thing to think. Start up the Crosby top. Is that what this thing is? You've had it for some time and don't quite remember how you got it. You never knew the identity of this pipe-smoking creature. Perhaps it could be the same species as the character you just saw under the rug, but you know that is impossible because this one does not feature the same bizarre furred lip. They are probably differing species within the same genus. Go to mspaintadventures.com. You don't know why you are wasting time on this website. It is for little children who poop hard in their baby-ass diapers. Also, you don't understand what the hell is going on or who all these characters are. It's all a lot of nonsense. Unironically, that is exactly how I felt at this point in the comic, prior to reaching the intermission, where I graciously understood what was going on. Delete the time setting on the Crosby top. Clocks destroyed, 5 out of 1,000. Take the spade key. You take the rules card for blackjack. You have possessed this item for as long as you can remember. You do not yet know its significance, though you can hustle up a mean game of blackjack when you need to. Examine Vendetta Itinerary. These are the mugshots of everyone you were going to kill. You got a head start. You already offed crowbar, matchsticks, and quarters, depleting them of some of their muscle. You've still got to watch out for the others and stay wary of their despicable time shenanigans. Itchy has given you the slip repeatedly. Doze you've captured and interrogated just as repeatedly, to no avail. Trace has broken into your secret hideout more times than you can count, while Finn always seems to be a step ahead of you and scoops your heists. Clover has all the intel and is highly cooperative. You might need him to crack the vault. He'll be guarded, best to avoid die in any direct confrontations unless you want a temporal mess on your hands. But if you need any repairs, you could always get to Stitch and persuade him. And you might need to if you can't kill Sawbuck with a clean shot. Eggs and biscuits are morons, but they are dangerous morons. Cans is a tank, and your crew will probably need more ammunition than you pack to take him down. No one knows what Lord English looks like. That'll be corrected tonight. You've got dibs on English. He's all yours. Okay. I, first of all, really love the setup to this little adventure with this Vendetta itinerary, because first of all, we obviously get in the, beside all of their names, we get their corresponding billiards number, which is really helpful for keeping track of who's who. Additionally, though, we get little sprinklings of what their differing abilities are and how they come into play in the wording of this paragraph without fully revealing all of their abilities just yet. And I think that that is just like such a sweet, clever little setup. Wonder where the number 8 mugshot went. It's right here, but you aren't gonna kill Snowman. It's out of the question. You're not gonna pocket the 8 ball. Examine heist map. On review, your schemes seem a bit convoluted, but you wouldn't have it any other way. Deuce and Droog split up to neutralize as many felt as they can find. Your heavy muscle and expert safecracker of boxcars is headed straight down to the vault. Okay, let's see if I can kind of comprehend this page. So, here's us at the entryway. Boom. These guys were dead. They've already been brought in. We have... Yeah, he's down. Going down there to the vaults. That's boxcars. Deuce and Droog are out fighting various other guys. And we don't know where those other guys are. So we're gonna kind of get to see who they run into, because I forget who fights who I never remember any of the Midnight Crew's names besides Spade Slick for obvious reasons. Maybe not obvious to everyone, but obvious to the average Homestuck fan. Use radio device to check on unscrupulous cohorts. You put the word out to your cronies for a status report. No response yet. You clean up all your junk and prepare to get this show on the road. You slip the spade key back into the deck of cards, then pocket the war chest. Smooth as clockwork and every bit as logical. Enter the hallway near the main entrance. Funny, you didn't hear any commotion or gunplay, but it looks like there's already been some action in here. Or there will be. You can never take tents for granted when it comes to these goons. 13 out of 1,000 clocks destroyed, apparently. Looks like Club Deuce is getting back to you. He says he's got Doze tied up for interrogation. You ask him, what else is new? Capturing that guy is like shooting a paralyzed monkey in the face. B. Hearts Boxcars. You are now Club Deuce. Yeah. CD. Rough him up. He remains tight-lipped, so you deal him a senseless shin-drubbing with your crook of felony. Oh, the humanity. You can barely watch. He's probably still using his special ability to slow time down for himself. He can't feel a damn thing, and certainly isn't saying anything, apart from a very low noise which could be him saying ow very, very slowly. Punch clocks in faces to establish chronology. Why would you do that? All of these clocks are lovely. You see no reason to harm them. 987 out of 1,000 clocks unharmed. Swap hats with Doze. You begin a feeble campaign of psychological warfare. Perhaps compromising his fashion motif is the way to get to him. Nope. Looks like he's still in his weird state of stasis and doesn't care. Either that or it's driving him nuts, just very slowly. No, see, like, I love the integration of these varying abilities into what their response to different things are. Like, I love all of this. I am going to incorporate the clocks destroyed element because that always amuses me. Sorry. Dump the contents of your war chest over him. War chest? What are you talking about? All you've got is this simple, unassuming deck of cards. And then we see good old number 1 jumping around back there. I'm gonna remember their numbers more than their names. Play some solitaire. Don't be stupid. To play solitaire, you need a deck of cards. I don't see a deck of cards, do you? All I see is your battle drobe. Throw the hat down and stomp it mercilessly. Oh no, it's itchy and it looks like he's all wound up. Love that. He unties Doze and quickly swaps everyone's hats around. Doze proceeds to make a fleet-footed getaway. The chase is on. Stop being Hearts Boxcars. Alright, you're the boss. Hearts Boxcars, you ain't. Someone has replaced your plain and serviceable hat with a silly and undersized one. An outrage beyond compare. You're sure you know who the culprit was. You can still smell his overly caffeinated blood. 986 out of 1,000 clocks shown mercy. Lift left leg and hold it a little ways in the air. Oops. So 1 and 2 are easy to keep track of. 1 has super speed and 2 has super slow, I guess. And thus far, we have a very slow interrogation scene, and tripping the fast one with his leg, which is... I mean, in terms of uncomplicated ways to take enemies down. Cool! So Spades beats ball number 1 by tripping him, and then beating him. Pretty well-established method. 4 out of 15 green torsos dead. Wear CD's hat on top of your current one. You are already wearing Deuce's hat, you fool. The one on the floor is Droog's hat. This is exactly why you always keep a backup hat on hand. This son of a bitch on the floor here has played his last game of musical hats. Soon these lugs will learn to show you some respect. You made this town what it is, after all. Wasn't nothing but a bunch of dust and rocks before you got here. You deploy your chest and swap this dinky little hat for one more suited to your tastes. Wait a minute. Thank God, your precious Scotty dogs are still here. You don't know what you'd do without them. You don't even want to think about it. Oh, okay, here's 6. What was his deal again? Dai makes his usual sort of entrance, the nonplussed, vaguely bewildered sort. Be Diamond's Droog. You got it! Club's Deuce it is! You have opened your battle drove in search of your backup hat. You also need some more rope to retie Doze, who is absolutely tearing through the mansion as we speak. If you don't hurry, he may clear the chair within the hour. But it's a big mess. You mostly just see a bunch of bombs and cards. You're not sure what's what. You can never remember which card to pick up. You can't believe how shitty your memory is. So Doze escapes on account of Itchy, who is now dead, and is very, very paralyzingly slowly making his way towards, I don't know, off screen. Grab the deuce of clubs. You pick up 2 licorice gummy bears. These need to be stored for safekeeping as soon as possible. Finding your backup hat has never been more urgent. Pick up all of the cards and throw them at Doze. You pick up a whole bunch of cards and fling them Dozeward. Didn't accomplish a whole lot, other than put some of your private reading material on embarrassing public display. Pick a card, any card. You're a busy guy, so you just pick up any old thing and put it on your head. Since you are in a big hurry, you will assume that it is your backup hat. You stand nearby the 2 remaining cards on the floor, an off-suited king and jack. Pick up card depicting stately blonde-haired fellows. You aren't going to stand around jacking off all day long, so you grab the jack of diamonds. Oh, here's your backup hat. Problem solved, you guess. I'm just gonna... Okay, yep. So, we now have CD, with C4 on his head, under his hat. Forget you are CD, believe you are Heart's boxcars. You suddenly remember you are Diamond's Droog. Whoever took your hat is about to discover he's the unluckiest man on Earth. He better hope you find him dead. What you're gonna do to him will be much less painful that way. Wear backup hat. You don't have a backup hat, all you got is this deck of cards. Oh wait, yes you do. It's stashed away in your mausoleum. You are the only member of this band of thugs who is civilized enough to keep more than one backup hat, as well as an extensive array of finely tailored suits. The mausoleum seemed like the best storage option for your exceptional wardrobe. If there's any better sort of compartment to keep your wardrobe in, you'd love to hear it. Also, there's a shitload of guns and cars in there too. You put on a backup hat. Withdraw licorice fish from backup hat. Whew! Your Swedish fish are there. This is why it's a good idea to always store your candy in your backup hat rather than your usual one. Other members of your gang have learned this the hard way and they're finally starting to catch on. Suddenly you get cold clocked in the face from the future. You'd know the knuckles belonging to that sucker punch anywhere. Okay. Trace always knows where you've been. The spineless rat likes to follow your past trail and around and mess with you. Okay. So from the future, number 3, Trace is able to, and yes, I am catching that pattern now, and only now. Trace, from the future, is able to go back and see you in the past to do harm to you. Trouble is, whenever he does, he lets you know exactly where he's going to be in the future. This time, you'll be ready for him. You radio Deuce for backup. Give him a time and place and exactly what path through the mansion to take. GD. Resume pursuit of wounded felt member. You don't know if the wounded guy went up the stairs or came down, or who wounded him and when. Might have even been you for all you know. Can't overthink this time stuff. You go with your gut and head upstairs. Can't overthink this time stuff is a great way to put Homestuck in general. CD. Follow Diamond's Droog's instructions. After giving a quick 10-4 over the radio, you take another look at your prisoner. He lucked out. Looks like round 2 of your brutal interrogation will have to wait. You couldn't find any rope, so you tied him up with a Stretch Armstrong doll which you happen to have lying around. You don't remember how you got it. It looks sorta dumb, but it'll have to do. So now we have Doze recaptured by Club's Deuce, who is now wearing a bob on his head and is on his way to go fight Trace in the future that he came to the past from. You see why this? Yeah. CD. Just lock Doze in the battle drobe. Time to hit the road. You beat your hostage into the back of your battle drobe with the bull penis cane. Wait, this is a bull penis cane? You flip the fuck out over the fact that this is apparently a bull penis cane. You're welcome for getting to hear me say that 3 times. Meanwhile, running roughly parallel with present events. Okay, we have Itchy and Dai. Now hang on, I want to check something. Here's my phone. I just need to... Trust me, this is for a good cause. Okay, I'm not sure, I'm not super familiar with a lot of different languages, but I recognize ichi to be one in Japanese. Dose is obviously dose, and trace is trace. Both of those are in Spanish. So I'm curious if this pattern continues throughout the entire Felt Gang, or if it's like limited to a specific few. So if anyone knows if something that sounds similar to die means 6 in another language, let me know. Okay, Itchy has 2 kings. Die has 2 aces. I don't know how cards works very well, so I don't know what it is that I think I'm gonna accomplish by looking at this. I just like to drive myself crazy, apparently, because I never know what's gonna be relevant to the plot, because they do all these one-off little quick scene things that if you don't catch them, you don't know what's happening. Like how I don't know what that lotus thing is in Jade's island, and I never will. I don't know why that stuff was in there. Maybe I was supposed to know that later on, but... Can't overthink this time stuff. Okay. Man's changed the card. He has a voodoo doll. Oh, I remember this one. Oh, this is so cool. Oh, this is so cool. Okay. Itchy always cheats, but he's cheated for the last time. You're gonna jump to a timeline where he's dead. Looks like he got what he deserved. But, as usual, you find yourself in a bit of a predicament. Spade Slick, make friends with Dai. You introduce your cast iron horse hitcher to your new friend. Dai scrambles for a pin he's been saving for a special occasion. How many times does he have to tell you? He made this town. Okay, let me try to reassert. Itchy cheats by swapping the cards with his, speed. But it looks like, by putting the pin for him into the doll, he's able to jump to a timeline where he's dead. And, fortunately, Dai has a, set of pins specifically for the Midnight Crew. However, I just got that. Okay. By jumping to a timeline where Spade Slick is dead, he's in the middle of nowhere. He made this town. Stop being SS. You stop not being Heart's boxcars. You have made your way to the Felt's secret vault. It's bigger than you were expecting. You doubt you'll be able to rely on your usual safe-cracking method, which is prying it from the wall with your bare hands. You'll have to think of something else. Do a silly dance. This is just absolutely the most ridiculous thing you could possibly choose to do right now. I mean, come on. Why don't you take a closer look at that safe? Seriously, stop that. Pry the wall from the safe. That notion is even more ridiculous than the last one. Wait, who are you kidding? No, it isn't. Looks like the combination to the safe is entered via the hands of the clock, and you somehow doubt spinning the hands around manually is going to cut it. Knowing these guys, you've got to alter the flow of time itself to make it work. Which, of course, is bullshit. You'd think you'll just blow it up instead. Time to get Deuce on the radio. Deploy punch box. You deploy the wrath tub. Retrieve 2 of hearts from backup hat. You retrieve your pair of wax lips. If anyone tried to steal your wax lips, you would eat their eyeballs and deliver an angry lecture into their empty sockets. Peruse Red Cheeks magazine. Okay. Just glancing at it gives you palpitations. Literature for avid cardioaficionados such as yourself. Those burgeoning red humps, that mischievous little tail, the snug, welcoming cleft. The saucy imagery is hard to beat. Harder than what you beat inside your chest now. Your heart is what you're beating. You beat it to Red Cheeks magazine pretty regularly, you'd say. Call clubs on nearest card. You radio Deuce on the 10-4 cards. Let him know you need a powder monkey on the double. You hear ticking, and it's not coming from the big vault clock above. You hope it's not what you think it is. Oh no. Oh god. It's Biscuits. His oven timer is ticking. This is no good. Ugh, there he is. This idiot thinks his special oven transports him into the future by the amount he sets on the timer. Well, he's sort of right, but in reality all that's happening is that he's hiding in there until the timer's up, then pops out. You guess he's relatively harmless if he's alone. You can take him. What you really have to worry about is if he teams up with... Oh no, that ringing. That god-awful ringing. You can hear it. Eggs. Son of a fuck. Might as well just grab one of your axes and kill yourself now. CD. Follow path. In the future, you've already followed the path through the mansion that Droog told you to. Trace followed Droog's past trail even further back, but found a much fresher trail crossing his path. Looks like this little guy's talking on the radio. Says something about how he'll be right there once he gives Droog a hand. Trace decides he'll trace this guy for a while, see what he's up to, and then mess with him, of course. In the present, you talk on the radio. Say something about how you'll be right there once you give Droog a hand. Diamond's Droog, take a good look around the new room you're in. Looks like the trail of blood ends here, or originates, whatever. Something went down here in the past, or is about to go down in the future. You know what? Never mind. 21 out of 1,000 clocks destroyed, apparently. Hang on. There's a tooth on the floor. You know that tooth. You felt its bite before. Finn was here. And judging by the forensics of the scene, the angle it hit the floor, the direction of the blood splatters, and how dry the blood is, you think you know exactly what he's about to pull. Or more specifically, what he's about to already have pulled. Finn always knows where you're going. He's followed your future trail here. He likes to mess with you from the past. Trouble is, he tips you off to where he's been. This time, you're ready. Wait for it. Wait. Yep. Now. So he's already pulled an attack. Okay. And then, from the future, he's able to go back and blast him. Predestined bullet holes are convenient. Gives you something to aim for. 7 out of 21 clocks redestroyed. So he's wandering off in the past. Presumably to go die. Rematerialize. This doesn't make any sense. You never went anywhere. Dai realizes there is a cost to settling the score with you in this way. The cost is having to live in a desert amidst the ruins of a dead civilization for the rest of his life. He thinks that's stupid, so he pulls your pin. Help the green man live up to his name. Rip Dai, you'll always be famous. I love the concept of this character. Alright. So here is where our vendetta itinerary sits. And I guess he's not marked dead yet. Eggs and biscuits over here. Take Voodoo Doll. You grab his Voodoo Doll and stick his pin in there for good measure. Might as well keep track of everyone you've offed this way too. Not that you intend to abuse its power to settle your score. What's the point if you're not going to get your hands dirty? Still, it might come in handy down the road. Lord English is supposedly indestructible. He's rumored to be killable only through a number of glitches and exploits in space-time. The doll may ultimately help you work the system if it comes to that. Alright, good luck, babe. Clocks, destroy them. 29 out of 1,000 clocks destroyed. 5 out of 15 green torsos dead. DD, follow blood trail downstairs and finish him off. Problem with that is, he'll just see your future trail following him, and that'll be nothing but a loud invitation for him to mess with you some more. Besides, better to leave him alive. You think you know what he'll lead you to. Just gotta be a little more subtle about tracing his blood trail. Keep your future trail out of his line of sight. Return to being Hearts Boxcars. The present. Yeah, I think that like here from moment to moment I can kind of trace what's going on, but when I see the remnants of other things that have happened in the midst of each specific incident, it's really hard for me to follow. Like, I think if it were written out entirely, then that might be helpful, but then the visual element is also helpful in theory. It's just not something that in practice I'm really clicking and benefiting from. Spade Slick cannot return to being Hart's boxcars because obviously Diamond Droog is too busy being Club's Deuce. You just watched Trace throw a punch into thin air for some reason. That guy's awfully silly. He then skulks off somewhere. You don't realize he's following Droog's past trail through the mansion until he gets to the point where it intersects with your trail, at which point he'll start following you. But we all realized it because it's obvious and couldn't possibly be more clear. CD, implement nefarious scheme. You follow Droog's simple instructions, so simple even a forgetful nincompoop like you can remember. There's a blood trail on the floor that goes in a different direction than Trace went. You decide to follow it because that sounds like a really good idea to you. If there was something you were supposed to do after helping out Droog, you'll be damned if you remember what it was. Trace catches up to where you were, but you're gone already. All he sees is the long, gross, rubbery arm of your past trail stretching through the room. He finds his comrade tied up with the stretchy rubber arms of a small man, but there is nothing gross or unpalatable about that in the least. Doze unslows himself and begins mumbling something feverishly about his hat. Okay, the hat contains the explosive, which then goes off. This takes out both Doze and Trace. 7 out of 15 green torsos dead. 107 out of 1,000 clocks destroyed. Finn makes his way through the mansion to get some help. He wonders where this little guy is going. Deuce's future trail is headed in the same direction he's headed by sheer coincidence. Finn decides to follow him for a bit, keep an eye on him. For as long as Deuce's path matches his, that is. There's pretty much no chance he's headed to the same place, though. That would be statistically improbable. He's got no idea what those other goons are up to here. Funny, their future trails end here. He's not going to stick around long enough to find out why. He's a bit too woozy from the blood loss to sort out this mess anyway. Yeah, I agree. Follow the Red Blood Road. It's uncanny. This little guy is matching Finn's route every step of the way. He must know something. Finn decides he's got to take him out. I think it's interesting that this isn't written, in the second person. Like, they don't write the felt in the second person. But he can't get a clear shot. Too dizzy, and with all that C4 under Deuce's hat, firing would be a bad idea. My god, he's thought of everything! Clearly dealing with a criminal mastermind here. You stop to admire this gorgeous clock. It is so pretty. Too bad it's not ticking like so many of the clocks in this place. Not that you can blame them. There are so many clocks in this mansion, it would obviously be impractical to make sure they all work properly. Oh look, a trail of blood. You think you'll start following it. HB, waste exactly 4 hours on this tomfoolery. You hate time travel, you hate time travel, you hate time travel, you hate time travel, etc. Above, a spectator has appeared at the strike of 4 and has been giggling at your foolishness for a number of minutes. Clover would have been tickled to help you open this vault, at the cost of answering a few of his clever time riddles, needless to say. If only you'd thought to seek his help first, rather than charging like the silly brute you are into this deadly trap of stable and not-so-stable time loops. Mostly unstable, really. These guys are way too dumb to maintain even elementary looping stability for more than a couple iterations. If you weren't so preoccupied, Clover could tell you that you could use Crowbar's help to pry anything out of a time loop, stable or otherwise. If you weren't so preoccupied, and if he weren't so dead! Stitch mutters to himself in his shop. He guesses eggs and biscuits are roughhousing again, because the fabric of space-time is tearing something fierce on Lord English's Cairo overcoat. This sort of thing is exactly why he keeps a backup coat, and always leaves Stitch with one of them. Any gang does well to have an in-house doctor on hand, but if you deal in time travel, you better have a damn good tailor, too. Call Spades for backup. You tell Slick to get his scrawny ass to the vault. It's goddamn bedlam down here. You tell him you asked Deuce for backup, but surprise, surprise, he's nowhere to be found. Big surprise, you tell him. You tell him that was sarcasm. He says he knows. Slick says he'll be right there. He'll see if he can round up Droog for support. Droog says Deuce is tailing Finn, while he is tailing Deuce. He'll be there to help out boxcars as soon as he and Deuce take care of business with Stitch. Couldn't be simpler. Oh yeah, he also mentions he pumped Finn full of lead so you can cross him off the list. You roger all that. Finn busts into Stitch's workshop blubbering something about watching out for the little guy who's about to come in here. He says to watch out because he's got a bomb on his head which is undoubtedly quite volatile and even the slightest spark would surely set it off. Stitch sees Finn's obviously in pretty bad shape and checks his effigy. Sure enough, the thing's in tatters, but he should be just fine if he can be patched up before he bleeds to... death. 8 out of 15 green torsos dead. Burst in, thrusting, bold penis king. Everybody out of the goddamn way. You got a hat full of bomb, a fist full of penis, and a head full of empty. Stitch says drop the livestock knob and settle the hell down. He says you do realize C4 is a stable explosive and won't detonate with gunfire, right? You say oh. DD, sneak into Stitch's boutique. Drop it and get in. Don't bleed on the suits. Stitch says, huh? You admit the thought of carrying around an imprisoned tailor wherever you go is gratifying for personal reasons. But in this case, keeping him alive should be useful in dealing with English later. HB, prod idiots with red cheeks. This predictably accomplished nothing. Taking your smut out of hiding turned out to be a very bad idea. Now copies from the future are appearing left and right and these clowns have their paws all over it. Slick, where the hell are you? SS, remove Crowbar's pin. Okay, so Slick jumps to a timeline where Crowbar is alive. Crowbar is alive again, and a whole bunch of other stuff is different. You forgot this gang almost seems halfway competent when he's running the show. The good news is you get to kill him again. Insert and quickly remove Snowman's pin. You have no idea how much you'd like to, but even you're not that crazy. Still, kinda tempting. Ooh, here we go. There she is. Hold still, Slick. Also 3 in the Morning by Clark Powell, such a top tier moment. Everyone always ceases gunplay when Snowman's around. If you kill her, you destroy the universe. Remove knife from eye. It's not a knife, it's Snowman's cigarette holder. All you know is she's gonna have a hell of a time getting it back. Give it to Sawbuck. You chuck the lance at Sawbuck, but of course it's only a flesh wound. Seems like that's the only sort of wound you can ever inflict on the corpulent lummox. Consequently, you and he both jump to a random point on the timeline. This looks to be in the recent past, when Stitch and Crowbar were setting up the crates for the imminent gunfight, which was very thoughtful of them. Your goons should be showing up any minute with the heavy firepower. For now, you've got the drop on everybody. Kill something out of rage and frustration. Stitch gets the business end of your saber rattle. He's dead. In this timeline, at least. Bring knives to the gunfight. Where do you think you're going, fatty? You'll deal with him in a minute. You whip out your double-edged sword and Occam's razor. Occam's razor, Crowbar's head, make it happen. Crowbar deflects the King of Spades into Sawbuck's unmissable carriage. You jump far into the past. Years in the past, which is to say the present for the time being, a scurrilous straggler eyes impromptu desert skirmish. He dismisses them as a bunch of ill-mannered rogues warranting no further investigation, although he gives a small nod of approval to the plain and serviceable hat worn by one of the combatants, which strikes him as an absolutely smashing display of good fashion sense. Hit Crowbar in the head. You can't kill him yet. You need him alive to return to the original timeline. You will be taking that crowbar, though. Stuff him in your deck of cards. You cram him in the war chest. Sawbuck you need to keep alive too for the moment. Not to return to the right timeline, but the right time. Speaking of which, where's Tubby think he's waddling off to? I'm sorry that I have to read these words. Just go stab Sawbuck until the time shenanigans stop. You treat him to a bit of the old bait and switchblade. You appear in the future. You guess this is after the gunfight is over. The gunfight that never took place since you kidnapped everyone who was supposed to be involved. Looks like only Boxcars is here. Carry Sawbuck like Titan Atlas would carry the world. You order Hearts to drop his tub on the double before this fat lard puts you in a wheelchair. If you take Sawbuck back to your own time and kill him there, that should save you the trouble of hunting him down. Might as well take Stitch too. Maybe. You're not really sure if that's how it works. You don't really care though. You dump them in the wrath tub, then stick the tub in your own deck of cards. But you give Boxcars back his sordid literature, which he'd carelessly left in plain sight. No one will ever catch you leaving your smut around, and even if you did, that copy of Terrier Fancy magazine could belong to anybody. No one could prove nothing. Stick Crowbar's pin back in again. You go back to your original timeline. But now, stuffed in your chest, you've got a live Crowbar from another timeline, brought to the timeline where he's supposed to be dead. So you guess now he's alive in this timeline, which is in part defined by his death? Okay, whatever. You should probably just kill him again anyway. Also, Sawbuck from another timeline is in there too. So you guess now there are two Sawbucks? This is getting kinda dumb. You open the chest, releasing them both. Crowbar doesn't look too pleased. You deflect his gunfire into the awesome gravitational pull of Sawbuck's astonishing girth. Everybody into the past. You dodge his next round too. It seems Sawbuck from this timeline, i.e. the real Sawbuck, was in this room at this point in time. He and Crowbar exchange bullets. Off they go. They no doubt go on to spend the rest of their ammunition peppering each other throughout the timeline, destroying all these clocks in the process between now and the present. You guess that explains the mess when you got here. Thank God you figured that out. You'd have surely lost sleep over it. 20 out of 107 clocks redestroyed. For the first time. Eventually. You know what? Never mind. SS, take a moment to think up some time-based one-liners. Okay, you think you got one. Time travel sure can be a double-edged sword. Wait, that was awful. Really, really bad. You're sure you can do better than that. Let's see. Sorry to... No. Time's running... No, wait. Fuck. You ask yourself from the past for a little help. Something about time. Time being up. No, wait, how about some kind of clock pun? No, damn it, will you just listen? You were almost onto something. Time is... Screw this, too many cooks in the kitchen. Oh, and just what does this quivering mound of blubber think he's up to? Stab first, utter puns later. Just as you hear your past self asking what happened to your eye, you jabbed Sawbuck with the butterfly effect knife. You remember a little while ago asking yourself about your eye and not giving yourself an answer just before disappearing. Maybe if you stopped and thought about it for a second, you could have warned yourself and avoided the whole mess, albeit in the process of creating a paradox. But your strict policy of stabbing first and answering questions later prevented it. You're sure your past self understands understood. You are sure of this because you very clearly remember understanding/understooding. You are now past Spade Slick again. You were just about to pull Crowbar's pin. You guess all that stuff with your future self and Sawbuck originally happened in this room while we were all off watching someone else, like Diamond's Droop or something. That makes sense. Remove Crowbar's pin. A whole bunch of shit happens that we already saw. Past Spade Slick, be future Spade Slick. Being your future self is a lot more constructive because you get to do stuff you haven't already done. Looks like you're in the future. It's a bloody mess in here. The clocks are more bullet-riddled than ever, and it seems Crowbar and both Sawbucks have been decapitated. You're almost certain this is something you will be, or are already responsible for, which of course means more time traveling. Looks like the tub and chest are gone, which means future you must have packed up and left already. Gotta take note of these sorts of things so you know where you are in the timeline. You notice something on the wall over there. One of the clocks that wasn't destroyed before is now bloodied and full of holes. Not especially noteworthy, you just have a feeling you should register this fact. 108 out of 1,000 clocks destroyed. Quickly remove lamps from Sawbuck. You pry the cigarette holder from his torso. Whoops, another time jump. This tub of goo keeps going for his gun. Wide body's gotta settle his big ass down. You really should incapacitate him without inflicting another wound. Knock him unconscious. Count some sheep, bitch. Wait, the clock on the wall. It hasn't been destroyed yet. But it's about to be. It's ticking down to the time it's stuck on in the future. Maybe if you time it just right, you can end this whole mess in one fell slice. You've even got an ice-cold one-liner to ditch out when the time comes. You've been working pretty hard on it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Hate to cut— Wait, no, not yet. Wait for it. Hate to— No. Wait. Hate to cut and— Damn it, not yet. Hate to cut and run. Shit. Hate to chop all your heads off with this sword. Real sorry about that. My bad. You slay them all with your rapier wit. 9 out of 15 green torsos dead. 2 out of 9 green torsos dead in twice. 1 out of 15 green torsos dead for the first time, but it's an alternate universe torso, so you guess maybe it doesn't count. 7 out of 108 clocks gratuitously re-destroyed. You got 5 left if we're not killing Snowman. You grab the tub and chest and move on. That is altogether enough of this nonsense. Call spades. You check up on Slick's status. Slick says he killed Crowbar again, saw Buck twice, and Stitch once. You ask him if it was an alternate timeline Stitch. He says he guesses so. You say that doesn't count. You've got the real one here. He mutters some foul language you can't quite make out, but you tell him never mind and hurry down to meet you at the vault. He says he took some damage from Snowman. You say you know. You're having some effigies made of yourselves with your backup hats. Deuce brought Slick's crumpled backup hat, which he wound up with somehow. Not sure what happened to Deuce's. Boxcars is obviously tied up at the moment, so you can't get your hands on his yet. Slick says he's got both their hats and he'll be down ASAP. You say alright. He says in the meantime, see what you can do about this eye. Have Stitch patch up SS's effigy. Get to work, Thread Monkey. Have Right Eye patched up. Damn it, your sprite was flipped the wrong way. You get Diamonds on the radio and tell him to undo it and wait until you're turned around. He says it's the right eye, right? Were you facing left or right? You say it's only right when facing left. It's the left eye when facing right. He says, oh, so it's the left-right eye. You say, yeah, but hang on a minute. You'll turn around so it's right-left. He says, okay. He'll wait. That's better. Arm yourself in case Cans shows up. If Cans shows up, none of those weapons you've got are going to do any good. You admire the lance for a moment. It's a pretty sweet weapon with outstanding craftsmanship. At least you got something out of the eye gouging. She'll have to pry this thing from your rigid severed arm if she wants it back. Ride around on horse hitcher pretending to joust. Yee-haw! Oh, shit. Stop acting like this, dude. What if a pretty girl sees? You can't believe she saw you horsing around like that. You will never live this down. Ah! Unlocked Midnight Crew album. That's the cool thing about the Homestuck unofficial collection is you get all these little, like, Easter eggs you get to unlock in new reader mode, which I really enjoy. Shoot up Biscuit and Egg's effigies. Stitch keeps their effigies in a big warehouse several miles away because of their ridiculous duplication tendencies. You're sure as hell not gonna drive all the way over there, so you just shoot them in person. This was such an unbelievably terrible idea. Oh, he's getting ready to burn the effigies. SS charge. Okay. This is incredibly delirious biz nasty. The present. Okay, so that goes off. That explodes. He explodes. We saw that earlier. We got those 3 left. Eggs, biscuits, cans, and clover. 4. Not 3. I didn't see clover at first. Start whacking things with the crowbar. The first thing you whack is Eggs' egg timer. You do this because, of course, you know that Crowbar's crowbar will destroy any temporal artifact and completely negate its effect on the timeline. Attempt to eat eggs. Your attempt was an overwhelming success. Biscuits is looking a tad snug in his muffin tray. He thinks it's about time to poke a broom straw in this battle. His dough will live to rise another day. See you in the future, suckers! Crowbar, Biscuit's oven, make it happen. You deal the oven a wicked flogging, but not much happens. The oven doesn't really have any magical time properties to be negated. It just travels into the future at a rate of 1 second per second, like everyone else. Put dynamite in oven. You set the bomb to go off in a few seconds when both it and Biscuits are released from it in a few hours. Turn up heat in Biscuits' oven. You're pretty sure this oven doesn't actually work at all. You just wheel it off somewhere else in the mansion so it can explode in peace. Boom! Out with eggs and biscuits. 12 out of 15 green torsos dead. Probably some more clocks destroyed too. Use crowbar to pry the safe open. Since your expert safecracker apparently spent the last 5 or 6 hours being totally useless down here, you figure it's time to take things into your own hands. Huh? What's this little fella all worked up about? Oh, we're so close to the end of this. Okay. Clover insists that you reconsider. Using that to pry open the vault would be ever so much bad luck. Like breaking 1,000 mirrors all at once. The sort of mirrors that tick and have numbers and tell time and stuff. That is the worst kind of mirror to break, luck-wise. Politely ask Clover to remain calm. He refuses outright and starts doing a really frisky jig. Doody-doody-doo-doo, doody-doody-doo-doo. He begins spinning a fanciful series of riddles, illuminating the true path to opening the vault. Mysterious music fills your ears as your mind assumes the shape of a pretzel. Doody-doody-doo-doo. 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 This is how the music would sound if we were listening to it right now. Ask Clover for the ultimate riddle. You ask Clover to open the safe. What's this? Hee hee. You think you can shoot? You think you can shoot Clover? He is so lucky the gun will probably jam or something predictable like that. Nice try, though. You just start whacking him with a newspaper instead. You don't have to be all that unlucky to get whacked around with a newspaper. It's sort of a gray area. Check personal ads of periodical. This isn't a real newspaper. It's just a wrapper for your private sorted literature, which no one can ever see. Uh-oh, it's slipping out a bit. Your appetite for monochrome beauties is nearly on public display. Gotta keep a lid on that smut, especially with Clover around. Suddenly the whole vault room is shaking. You wonder what it could be. It sounds suspiciously like Cans is about to plow through the wall Kool-Aid Man style. You pray to God that it is not Cans about to plow through the wall Kool-Aid Man style. All of a sudden, Cans plows through the wall Kool-Aid Man style. Resist the urge to shout, "Oh yeah!" Oh no! He punches you into next week. You find yourself going about your business a week later. Looks like you're doing a little grocery shopping. You're a bit confused, having no memory of the previous week. You have no idea what is on your grocery list. Are you out of milk? What kind of produce do you need to stock up on? It is all a little overwhelming. And to make things worse, the selection has too many prices and values. Use Eggs' body as bait for Cans. Battle technique, torso flail. You flail the torso Cansward in an attempt to placate him with the red meat. It doesn't work. Cans clocks boxcars entirely out of the current calendar year. You land in a totally different, outdated calendar. Looks like this one's themed with spirited horses. You'll be up to your ass in horses for a whole year. Just great. This is just what you need to be doing. Farming all these goddamn horses. Fucking pain in the ass. Ignore him and just pry the safe open. You don't care what the consequences are. You're gonna crack open this safe and be done with it. This whole intermission was starting to get a little punchy anyway. The massive release of temporal distortion from the vault transports you to a highly unfavorable timeline. Looks like the entire mansion was leveled except for the vault and its enclosure. Everyone's dead except for you and you know who. But at least the safe's open. 1,000 out of 1,000 clocks destroyed. 14 out of 15 green torsos dead. 3 out of 4 black scofflaws offed. Enter the vault. There's nothing in here except an opening in the floor. There is a door with a keyhole, and you have a feeling you know how to open it. You only wonder why English's treasure would be locked behind a door with a spade on it. Dramatically use the spade key. You guess this is what the spade key was for all this time. You dramatically wield the spade key in a matter-of-fact manner. peek inside keyhole. What keyhole? It was clearly a barcode scanner all along, like the kind they sweep groceries over at supermarkets. That reminds you, you should really do some shopping next week. You're not gonna peek inside because the lasers could blind you in one eye. Oh, wait. Okay. Use rules card for blackjack. This was never a problem because there is clearly a barcode printed on your rules card for blackjack, as well as your arm, but there's nothing wrong with a little redundancy, you guess. Get on with it. Huh? Snowman, you are my close friend. Personal bestie. Oh, are you looking for this? Well, come and get it, you contemptuous she-witch. Snowman's black inches no doubt have been responsible for more than a few red sheets. God, she's so cool. Okay, flip your sprite. Turnways, sprite flip. See, like, I love that. I love the little gimmicks. You gotta flip it. Turnways. Scan the barcode. Down he descends. This guy again. Been a long time. Hey, kid. Yeah, you. And there we have it. I definitely feel like it was a lot more comprehensible this time than it has been my previous few times reading it. Maybe that's just because I was like stopping to reiterate what was happening at every turn. Part of the process of the raid through requires you to think a little bit more on the ball about these things. I still don't think I get it as much as I did when I was a kid, but I do also wonder how much of that is just like hindsight coloring everything, especially since I understand the rest of the story a lot better, so I tend to... I'm not as focused on the one thing that I understand. Maybe by comparison, I just amped up how much I actually got it. But yeah, I still think the intermission is just a really strong little standalone entertaining piece. You could kind of show this to anyone and they would have something to enjoy about it, even if they didn't actually read the entirety of the comic. It's really interesting because usually you think of an intermission and it's like, obviously it's normally completely divorced from the content that it's in the midst of, but it's also usually like, you could take the show without the intermission, but a lot of the time, an intermission for something is not really very strong, if it was separated from the show. Whereas here, you know, you can't separate Homestuck from the intermission. There's too much that happens here that it's not really apparent now at this point, but becomes extremely relevant down the line. Like, I mean, first of all, we got our first Lord English mention. We also know the beef between Spades and Snowman, which is like defining. I mean, what they told you pretty much outright what was going to happen in the intermission, and what was going to go down later in the comic because of it. Just there's so much foreshadowing here. There's so much explanation for things. And a lot of stuff that if you go back to later on, you kind of, like, this is where everything gets set up. So, like, the little tiny things that are easier to understand, of like, hey, here's this character's powers, here's this whatever, that stuff, like, is a little bit less important, but things like who Spades is, and what his deal is, what happened to his eye and arm, his beef with Snowman, if you kill Snowman, you destroy the universe, Lord English in general, and his overcoat and all that. And then, of course, you know, obviously the crowbar is a key element and very traumatic for me personally. Don't talk to me about it. So yeah, all in all, like, a lot of incredibly important stuff goes down in here, and you know, you can read it and not read the rest of Homestuck, and I think that you'd still enjoy it and you get a lot out of it because it's really entertaining, it's punchy, it's, you know, it's just because it's really entertaining. It's very witty, it's very creative, and you could enjoy that on its own merit, but you could not take Homestuck without the intermission, or there would be no cohesiveness to so much of it. So that's a really interesting like structure for something like this. And it really does reward readers, I think, who would put in the time and effort. It doesn't just reward them, I mean, it excludes people who wouldn't. So yeah, it's all in all it's one of my favorite parts of the comic, and I'm so glad that I got the chance to go back through and reread this and just remember all these clever little tricks and things that get pulled. It's just really cool, man. I don't know how much this format works. We'll kind of see. I'm gonna go back to the traditional format for the next few, unless I feel really inspired to do something else. We'll just kind of see. But yeah, for now, that's all she wrote. Thank you so much for watching, and we will see where tomorrow takes us, because if I'm honest, I remember very little of what Act 4 actually consists of. So this will be a journey, but this is a great way to start the rest of it, I think.
I hate a moral coward, one who lacks a manly spark. I just detest a man afraid to go home in the dark. I always spend my evening where there's women, wine and song, but like a man I always bring my little wife along. I'm a member of the midnight crew. I'm a night owl and a wise bird too. Home with the milk in the morning, singing the same old song. Rise with the moon, go to bed with the sun. Early to bed and you'll miss all the fun. Bring your wife in trouble, it will never trouble you. Make her a member of the midnight crew. Wah, 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 wah. The fun, it doesn't stop till 12 on happy old Broadway. So what's the use of going home until the break of day?